My favorite part of this video is that you can't tell I just ate a giant loaf of garlic bread. Hey guys, I'm Tanya, and today I'm going to be talking about my best and worst first gay dates. Keep in mind that these are not the best or worst dates I've ever had in general, just of my first gay ones. So let's get started. The first date we're going to talk about is the one that my friends and I like to call the illegal or screamo one. We'll call her Sarah for this story. So Sarah and I met on gay Tinder, and we were probably talking for a month before we actually decided to meet up. So as soon as we started driving, she cranked up the music and was blasting screamo. Which is fine, it's cool if you listen to screamo, but driving and listening to screamo is a whole other story. I found that I was randomly just super angry during the whole drive just because the music tends to be angry. Then she pulled up to arguably one of the worst and most dangerous places in all of Kelowna and informed me that she had made dinner reservations on this street. Then she asked if I wanted to go to a lookout. So we started making our way up a mountain, and it was towards a lookout that I already knew of, so I assumed we were going to that one because there's really only one along that entire mountain trail, when suddenly she just drives right past it. So at this point, I thought I was getting kidnapped because we were literally in the middle of nowhere. There was thick trees everywhere, there was no cell phone service, she was barely talking to me, and screamo was playing very loudly. So we make it to the very end of this road, and it's just a metal gate with someone's address on it. And I was thinking, well, this is the end. I'm getting kidnapped by a lesbian. So she parked at the metal gate, and you literally could not see anything. Then she just leaned over and kissed me with no warning, like there was no lead up to it. She was barely talking to me that whole drive. She literally just pulled up, parked, turned over, and kissed me. Then after literally one quick peck of a kiss, she put her car back on and drove us back down the mountain all of a sudden without saying anything again. Super weird. When we got back into the city, she said she had to get gas, so we went to the gas station where she lit a cigarette at the gas station. Thankfully, nothing happened, and I watched her put it out. It was all fine, still scary. Then she dropped me off at my house and told me that she just had a really fun date with me. Yeah, fun was not the word I would have used, but then like 2 hours later at 3 a.m., I got a text from her asking to go on our second date right then and there at 3 a.m. It was asking to do something that is super illegal. I really don't want to talk about what the activity was that she wanted to do. It's not something that I've ever done before, have considered doing, would ever do, because it's just against the law. And I didn't think she was serious about doing it, so I brushed it off and I was like, haha, you're so funny. Then when I woke up in the morning, I got a bunch of text messages from her of photos of her doing the thing that was illegal. First of all, if you're gonna do something illegal, why are you taking pictures of you doing it? Anyway, that was the end of me ever speaking to this girl again, so there's that one. You can bet that I never went on another date with her again. Now for the second worst first date that I've had, we'll call this girl Alex. My best guy friend and I were at a pub one night when our bartender asked how long we've been dating for. My friend and I laughed super hard and told her that I was super gay. Alex's face lit up, high-fived me, and said that she was also gay. Then we paid for our last bill and left. And when I looked at my receipt, I saw that she wrote her phone number and name on it. Then the following day, we went on our first date. I brought Alex a few flowers when I picked her up, and her face just lit up. So we started off our date by going to a mini golf and arcade game place in town, and I offered to pay for all of the games there. And when we got back into the car, she requested that we go to Denny's. I personally and typically like paying for the whole first date myself, but Alex asked for the bills all together. So I was thinking to myself, oh, Alex is one of those people who likes to pay for half of the date and then the other person pays for the other half. The waitress comes over, puts her bill right in the middle of the table, and almost immediately, Alex stuck her fingers on the receipt and slid it across the table towards me. You know, I just feel like the wrong way to get someone to pay for your dinner is to ask for a single bill and then slide it across the table to them. Oh, but the story gets even better. So I pulled up to her driveway and she was holding the roses that I got her and was smelling them, taking pictures of them. Then Alex leaned in for a kiss, which was nice, followed by the following sentence. I cannot wait to go inside and show my fiance these flowers that you got me. Did she just fiance? 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 Yep, turns out she was engaged and getting married to a man 3 days after that date. She told me she's just never been with a girl and wanted to know for sure she wasn't gay before getting married to a man. And that is the story of why my friends and I have nicknamed her the engaged straight one. On to the last one! Funny enough, the nickname of this one was the straight one. I seem to attract a lot of straights and married people. For this story, we'll call her Maddie. So Maddie and I met at a party through a friend of a friend, and a week later we went on our first date. We started off by going bar hopping to like 6 or 7 different bars downtown. She was super interested about my life. We were super touchy. It was super cute. We even kissed a bunch at almost every single bar we went to. Then Then she suggested that we go to a little get-together at her friend's house. When we got to the house, there was like 8 or so people there, and they were all messed up. Like, I mean the worst kinds of drugs. I didn't know any of these people, and typically I'm uncomfortable with showing PDA in front of people I don't know. But Maddie was all over me and would throw her arms around me, make out with me, and kiss my neck in front of everyone, which wasn't the worst thing ever until I realized why she was doing it. Maddie and one of the guys who was super drugged up started arguing about something that I didn't know about. Then she started crying and went outside by herself, so I went out after her to make sure she was alright, and then the guy comes out. I looked him dead in the eye and told him to leave her alone and that we were leaving. Because she originally said that their fight was because he wouldn't stop touching her. So I start pulling my car keys out of my pocket when Maddie tells me we should go for a walk to the beach first, which was just 2 minutes from the house. But she also invited the guy that she was crying about. We were sitting in the sand in the order of him, Maddie, then me. When suddenly I looked over and I noticed that Maddie and this guy were literally making out. And Maddie told me at the bar that she was a platinum star, which in the gay world means you've never done anything with the opposite gender. Never slept with one, never even kissed one, and here she was making out with this guy on the beach, with me sitting right beside them. And then Maddie pulled me up and walked me away to where he couldn't hear us. She gave me the most passionate kiss and then thanked me for setting up her and the guy that she's been wanting to date her whole life together. Then she asked me to leave so they could have some alone time. And that is the story of the straight one I dated. I've been filming my worst date section for an hour now, so I'm hoping that's not the longest thing ever, but my best first dates will go along a lot faster because there's not as many details to them. Starting off with the first date, let's call them Jessie. When we were dating in 2016, they went by she, her pronouns, but in present time, they go by they, them pronouns, so I'm gonna go with that. I like to call this famous date the 24-hour first date. The longest first date I've ever had was maybe like 3 to 5 hours at the most, but this one was 24 hours of pure date. Ended up being this long because Jessie was from a city that was about an hour's drive away, and I didn't want to drive them home that late at night, so we just agreed to them staying at my house. We also met on gay Tinder, so they could have been a serial killer, catfish, 50-year-old man, but I still let them stay at my house on the first night we ever met. They told me on Tinder that their favorite flower were sunflowers. We started dating in the winter, and I didn't know that sunflowers didn't sell in the winter because I'm dumb and I don't know anything about flowers, so I went to literally every single flower shop in all of Kelowna to find her sunflowers, and none of them had them. So instead, I settled for Jessie's second favorite types of flowers and got them fake sunflowers on the side. So I hid the flowers, some pillows and blankets, even some string lights in the back of my car so we could go stargazing later. I just had to go into detail for that part of the story because I've never gone to that extent to get someone flowers before. Anyway, the date in a summary, we met up for brunch, ended up talking all the way till dinner time, ate dinner at another place, then we watched a couple of movies at my house. And funny story, we picked a horror movie because, you know, that's like kind of the move so that you can cuddle the person that you're with. Both of us had heard that The Human Centipede was a scary movie, but neither of us knew what it was actually about. What a mistake. Do yourself a favor and never ever watch this movie on a first date. Anyway, when it came to going to sleep, we ended up just laying in bed and talking about everything deep in life till like 6 a.m., which was super cute and cool. When we woke up, we went for breakfast and coffee, and then went for lunch at a skating rink. Within our first date, we went on 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches. Then finally, I drove them all the way back to their own town, and that wraps up our 24-hour date. For the second story, this was technically our second date, but we call it our first date because the first time we just went for coffee and didn't really do anything. But anyway, let's call this one Kelsey. Kelsey and I also met on gay Tinder because where else do you meet the fellow gays, you know? A few days before the date, we talked about how we both prefer smooth peanut butter over the chunky kind. So when I went to go pick her up, instead of bringing her flowers, I brought her a family-sized jar of smooth peanut butter. Then Kelsey and I went to a little carnival in town and we split all of the costs half and half, which was super awesome. Quality gal. One of the rides that we went on was huge and it clearly looked like something that adults would ride, and we saw adults in the line, but what we didn't know was that it was actually a ride built for very small people, and I'm already really small and it was too small for me. So we got in the car and the carnival guy tried to put the bars down on our laps. Our legs were too thick for this bar to go down, but this man was shoving it down. Oh man, I don't know how to describe this ride. We were pummeling forward on an axis that was also spinning, and it hurt so bad because it put more pressure on our legs. So we were having a really fun time in the ride, but because it hurt so bad, we were half screaming, half crying, half not being able to yell at all because of how much pain we were in. It was my first carnival date ever though, and it was super cute. Date number 3 is actually my most recent first date I've ever been on. We'll call her Kate. So I work at a tattoo shop and she was a client one day, and the second that I saw her, I knew she was gay. So we got to spend about 45 minutes together before she was about to leave, so I decided to just write my number on the back of her receipt, and while I was doing that, she actually asked me to go see fireworks and have dinner with her the next day. So the next day we met up for dinner at this outdoor patio place, and it was amazing. The food was great, our conversation was absolutely amazing, it was so chill, and we figured out that almost every single favorite and preference that we had were the same. For example, our favorite foods, drinks, places, things to do, colors, least favorite foods were all the same. For preferences, we put our toilet paper on the stand in the same direction. It was literally like I was talking to my clone. So we came up with this game that we still play to this day, where we'll ask a question and then on the count of 3, we both say the answer. And every time we had the same answer, which was 9 out of 10 times, we would scream of excitement. Half of our friends find it super annoying and the other half want to join in on it. We were at this restaurant for like 5 or 6 hours, then we ran down the street for the Canada Day fireworks that were launching above the lake in front of the mountains. It was so beautiful. Then we ended up just laying in the grass and talking for another 3 or 4 hours while looking at the stars. Then we walked back to our cars and didn't actually end up kissing on our first date. It's funny though, because we met the day before and then we went on our first date and then continued to see each other and eventually start dating every single day after that. There was not a day where we were apart from the day we met. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen some photos of some of the best dates we've been on, which leads me to a future video. So in this video, I talked about first dates, and in another video, if you guys want, I'll talk about my all-time worst and best dates. If this video reaches 500 likes, I'll post that video. So that is all for today's video. Be sure you comment down below and let me know what your best and worst first date you've ever been on was. Hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I'll see you guys soon with a brand new video. Bye!